It's a pleasure to be here. At my age, it's a pleasure to be anywhere. But I've lived a long life. I've lived a rich life. I've been blessed. And part of it is because of what you're here for today, being a part of a band of brothers. For 46 years, I've been involved with men's ministries. Been a part of a men's group every place that I've lived and coached. And it's made me into who I am. It's so valuable. Men need each other. Men need to get together. Men need to have camaraderie and fellowship and learn from one another. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. I'll tell you a little bit of my story. Well, first of all, when we first came to Boise, my wife Virginia and I, Virginia passed away a year and a half ago, but we were married for 60 years. Great life. But anyway, we were driving around Boise looking for a home. And we pulled into the gas station to get some gas, and the gas station guy came out, and he recognized me from the media reports and the pictures and the stuff, and he said, "Coach Hall, welcome. We're sure pleased to have you here in Boise as our new coach, new football coach." I said, "Well, thank you very much." Then he looked over, he said, "Virginia." She looked at him and said, "Bill." Virginia gets out of the car, walks around, she and Bill hug and talk for a while. I'm thinking, this is real interesting. I've only been in Boise for 3 hours, and here she is already got somebody else in her arms. Well, it turned out it was an old friend. And she got back in the car, and I said, "Virginia, you're married to the new head football coach at Boise State. You could have married Bill, the gas station guy." She said, "Oh, Skip, don't be silly. If I'd have married him, he'd be the coach, and you'd be pumping gas." Great perspective, right? Great perspective. And I tell you, a wife is priceless. A good wife, priceless. But anyway, I want to share some things with you today. I want to tell you my story, talk to you a little bit about why this is important, some principles and things that I've, like I say, for 46 years, have been a part of me that I've shared all over the country. Spoken at many events, men's groups, different things. But I grew up without a father. And for many years, athletics was my dad. Coaches were my dads. Coaches were my dads. And I just clung to them and learned from them and grew with them. And I just vowed one day when I became a father, I would never leave my kids like my father had left us. And it's so important for family to have a dad and a mom that's there for the kids. How many of you have kids here? Yeah, almost everybody, yeah. And it's so important to have a mom and a dad together in the home, and especially the dad being around. You know, see, I grew up with just a mom, basically. And coaches, they were my dads, as I said. But it's so important, and there's some things I'm going to share, but I want to tell you a little bit more about my story. So I grew up without a dad from Minnesota, and sports became who I was, what I did, all that I was about, and I loved it. I still do. Still do. Not sure what that is. Is that for me? But anyway, I think sports has been such a great thing for so many people, and we all kind of align with it. We love it. Kids get involved with it. How many of you are coaches? Yeah. Coaches are so vitally important to kids growing up. So don't ever think that, what you're doing isn't impactful, because it is. If you ask people how many teachers they can name, maybe a few, you ask them about how many coaches, they can name all of them. coaches are really, really important. So God bless you guys that are coaching and getting involved with young people. It's so important. So anyway, as I went through school, high school, college, playing sports, coaching right out of college, became a head high school football coach, had tremendous success. We won, I think we were 23-1, 3 years, went on to the college scene, got connected with a guy by the name of Don James. Mike mentioned I coached Jack Lambert, Nick Saban in college, two great players. Jack Lambert, he was a mean ornery sucker, man. Tall, lanky. I remember I called him in one time. I was kind of the... Thank you. Yeah, my voice is weak. Yeah, my voice is weak because of the cold. But anyway, Jack Lambert, I called him in one time at Kent State because his grades were kind of slipping. And I said, Jack, I'm noticing that your grades are kind of slipping here. And he looked me in the eye and he said, Coach, I'm a football player. And if I can't play football, go to school, I'll work for my dad shingling roofs. So don't worry about me. I said, Jack, thanks for stopping by. Well, as we all know, Jack became one of the great NFL stars. But he and Nick Saban, Nick and I coached, not only did I coach him, but coached with him. We coached together for several years. He wrote the foreword to my book, and I want to share this for any of you that are interested. The book is called Coach 'Em Up by Skip Hall. You can get it on Amazon. You can get a good bargain on it right now. Coach 'Em Up by Skip Hall on Amazon. And it's got all kinds of principles and stories that would be very helpful, I think, for anybody, even moms, anybody working with kids and people. But Coach 'Em Up is the name of the game, and that's been my mantra for many, many years. And something I'd like to pass on to all of you guys too is coach 'em up, not down. Coach 'em up. Encourage them. Give them encouragement. Because that means the world to anybody, especially a young kid. And so anyway, I wrote the book and I do speak around different places and so forth, as I mentioned, but I feel like there's a calling for men to step forward, come together as groups like this and step forward and lead our nation, lead our youngsters, lead our families, because it's so important. Well, as I went through the coaching ranks, I coached at Washington, Colorado, Missouri, coached in 3 Rose Bowls, had the pinnacle of a coaching career. Couldn't ask for more. Coached at Boise State. That's the highlight, right? And it was wonderful. And I still am in contact with a lot of the former players and people here. But there's a legacy that we all leave. A legacy. And I think that's what I want to really stress to you today is, what legacy do you want to leave? What do you want to leave people remember about you? Your kids, your family, people you come in contact with, kids that you coach. What's your legacy? What do you want it to be? Name it. Name it and claim it and do it. And trust me, it'll change lives, make a huge difference in the lives of people. That's what it's all about. So anyway, I went on, finished my coaching career, went into business, worked with Aflac for 15 or 20 years. The Duck and I became very good, very close. And I had a wonderful career with Aflac. They treated me just royally, still do. And so I've been blessed in many, many ways, but I want to give back. I want to share with you guys something here that I think is important about principles, I call it the doctrine of excellence. When I speak to groups, I talk about the doctrine of excellence. Now think about that. Excellence. What's that all about? Well, that's what we should all pursue. I don't talk to people and teams about winning. I talk to them about the pursuit of excellence. Because if we become excellent at what we do and who we are, winning will take care of itself. All the other stuff will come to fruition. But it all starts with the pursuit of excellence in everything, not just in sports, in school, at home, in our jobs, careers, everything. The pursuit of excellence is really where it's at. So I want to give you just 5 principles of excellence. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Yep, I let it slip there. The first principle in the doctrine of excellence is this: everything rises or falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Every team needs solid leadership at the get-go. And a leader's job is to get the most of the abilities and talent of their people. That's the job of a leader. It's the job of a coach. Secondly, mentors matter greatly. Mentors matter greatly. Do they have this, Mike? Do they have this, Gene? Okay. I don't want to be redundant here, but mentors matter greatly. And I tell the story here of the farmer that entered his mule in the Kentucky Derby. He knew the mule wouldn't win, but he thought the association would be good for him. In other words, he wanted his mule around thoroughbreds. We want to try and make our people the best they can be. Thirdly, character counts greatly. Integrity, ethics, values are the cornerstones of any successful team or organization. There's no compromise on that. Everybody needs to understand that and to buy into it. You got to buy into it. It's got to become personal. And remember this, that what we do in life echoes throughout eternity. That is so true. The next thing is that excellence is achieved. It's not stumbled upon. Excellence is achieved. It's not stumbled upon. It's built on discipline and the tenacity of purpose. Excellence is not about one thing. It's about everything. I don't know if those of you that maybe have followed Coach Pete, who's a good friend of mine, we agreed on this so much. Excellence is not about one thing. It's about everything we do. Leaders or coaches, the highest calling of leadership is to unlock the potential in others. So these are just some principles that I think are very important to know and bring as part of our package. You know, we all have a package we carry with us, who we are, what we do, and these are so important. Going back into my coaching, you know, as I say, I had a wonderful, wonderful career and wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, a lot of years, a lot of good, great memories, great bowl games, beating Alabama in a bowl game. I remember meeting Bear one time, and after the game, I went up to him, shook his big old paw, and he looked at me, and he looked at my name tag. He said, "Skipper, how have you been?" Like we'd known each other for years. I learned something that day. Strength is important, and he was a strong, strong man. But he cared. He had warmth. So strength and warmth, I think, are a great combination that we need to carry forward. Strength and warmth, very important. So anyway, after I got done with my coaching career, I went into business, as I mentioned, with Aflac, and a lot of great years there, traveling around the country, speaking to various Aflac groups and things like that, and I still do some of that now. But you know, what we do in life is so important. Make a difference. Make a difference. We all have something to share. We all have something of value. But make a difference in the lives of others. That's really what it's all about. I want to encourage you guys to do that and go out there and make a difference. Help people. Help the poor. Help the single moms. Make a difference. Do whatever you can, but make a difference. We've only got one life to live, and it's short. It happens fast. Make a difference. Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you a chance, too, to ask some questions here, so maybe I'm going to pause right now and see what questions might come up and kind of carry on from there. So let's have a little Q&A here. Who's got the first one? I know I just popped this on you, so give you a moment to think. Mike, you got a question. You always do.
Something that we sat down in the restaurant over in Boise, and I'm writing my book called Coaching the Fear Out of Kids. And I asked you, what was the key to that 1984 defense? Teams knew you were going to hit them harder than they ever been hit. Teams knew that you guys were trying to strip the ball. And even so, Oregon had 8 turnovers against you guys. Okay? And I asked you, what was the key to that? And you said freedom. Can you explain what you mean by freedom and how it relates to kind of the culture that you build in your company, in your family, in your friends group? Talk about what you mean by freedom and how it relates to everything that you guys were able to accomplish.
Yeah, you bet, Mike. Great point. Freedom, we need to free ourselves up. We need to free our players up to do what they can do. You know, give them the ability to do what they're able to do, not tie them up or bind them up or confuse them with all kinds of rules and regulations and this and that and the other thing. But to free them up, play free. You know, that's how we did. We played free. And we had what we call the RH factor. Anybody know what the RH factor is? Run and hit, baby. RH, run and hit. And they would run and hit. They'd knock your block off. We had some bad boys on that 84 defense, Jimmy Rogers, and some guys that were just really, I saw them literally pound Oklahoma, literally beat them to a pulp. And, you know, that's what it's all about. You free the players, the people up to do what they can do best. Give them that freedom. Don't give them all kinds of rules, regulations. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to watch out for this, watch out for that. Don't do that. I mean, that just impedes people. Let them free them up. Let them be who they are. Let them do what they do best. Give them that freedom, and then coach them up. Coach the tar out of them. Help them. Give them tools. Give them things that help make them better. But coach them up. Coach them up. That's what it's all about. That's what the book is all about. Coach them up. And there's so many good stories in there. And I think if you get the book, I think you'll enjoy it a lot. It's been on Amazon for I don't know how many months. And almost all of the reviews are 5-star reviews. So people are getting a lot out of it, and that's really encouraging for me. So get the book, Coach them up. There's great principles in there on Amazon. Yes, sir.
When you were coaching and your identity was just wrapped up in success and driving, it's who you are, 24 hours a day, you're a coach,
Great point. Yeah, we do what we do as for a living, for an occupation, for our career, and we want to do the best we can. God asks us to do that. But when we go home, we need to understand that there's needs at home too, with our wives, our kids, and we've got to put on a different hat. And not, and this is so hard, and I know I was challenged by this so much to leave. When I got home, I tried to leave it on the doorstep, the coaching behind me, and just be a dad, be a husband. And I think that is critical. We need to love on our families, take care of our families, be present. That word is such an important word. Be present, not be thinking about, well, what happened today at work, what happened today at the office, what happened today in coaching. No, be present with our family and just love on them. Yeah, so important. Great point. Thank you.
Do you have any practical tips on how to do that? How do you turn off the coaching or the career and like be present? Like what works for you?
It's a mental decision. You almost have to make a pact with yourself that you're going to do this, because you're not going to do it naturally. You're going to want to carry what you do and all that into the home, and it's going to occupy your mind, and you're going to be miles away, and your family's going to know it. But you have to make a mental decision that I'm going to turn this off while I'm at home. I'm going to enjoy my family. Because your kids go fast, man. They go fast. I've got 2 kids, 4 grandkids, and 4 greats. I'm blessed. And boy, I love on them every chance I get. And we just have to make that decision. It's what it is. It's a decision. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be present. And not worried about what I live at the office or at my job or career or whatever. And it's hard. I tell you, it's hard, but you got to make that decision. You got to make that commitment. That's what it is. It's a commitment. It's a commitment. I'm going to honor my family when I'm at home.
Did you safeguard that decision by kind of creating some rules with your team and your coaching staff? Like, hey, I'm off the clock at this time, or did they have full access to you at home and you just didn't answer, or how did you buffer?
You talking about the family or the players or what? What?
Players or coaching staff or other people that
when
you need your attention.
Okay. Yeah.
You didn't have a cell phone back then.
That's true.
Nobody was texting him at 8 o'clock at night. That's a crazy.
He wasn't exactly like with tin cans and a string, though. How did you, when you get home, how did you insulate your family from the alpha male that you had to be with your players?
Well, again, that's a decision and commitment that you make, that you're going to protect your family. Family comes first. God's first, family second. My career's third. And we need to keep that in proper perspective. And I want to go back to what the gentleman asked back here. Give me that question again. Yeah, you guys.
I was just wondering if you set some ground rules
Right.
with your coaching staff
Right.
and other people that like, hey, when I'm off the clock, I'm off the clock. Like, were you proactive in that way to help insulate and support your commitment to be with your family by creating those?
Absolutely. So here's how I did it. For years and years as an assistant, I worked 4 or 5 nights a week, all week long during the day. And I vowed that when I became a head coach that I'm not going to require my coaches to be there every night. You know, we were there Sunday night, Monday night, sometimes for a while Tuesday night. But then I chased them out of there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. You go home, be with your family, enjoy your family, your kids, your wife. Do some other things. And so I wanted a balance. I think seeking a balance is what the answer is. And then implementing that, living that way. A balanced life is a great life. You know, we get overloaded at our work, our jobs. We get crazy with it, and it just occupies our thinking all the time. But we need to have a balance in there. And so I wouldn't require our coaches to be, I'd chase them out of there, in fact, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Friday nights they were usually out scouting a game, but they'd take their families with them and that type of thing. Of course, Saturday was game day, and Sunday we'd start the new week over. And I always left time Sunday for them to be with their family and go to church. Didn't require them to come in Sunday nights to do anything. So I think you gotta have a philosophy that's meaningful to you, and you carry it out. Stick with it. Yeah, Mike.
In 1992, at Boise State, you were a field goal away from playing for the national championship. How were you able to leave that on the field and then go with your family and not have you replay every single play in the game? Because I've coached for 30 years, and that's probably the hardest thing for me was if everybody makes one better play, it doesn't come down to a field goal.
Right.
And so you're sitting at dinner and your wife is talking to you and you're going, sorry, what did you say? Because I was still thinking about the grounder that went right through my shortstop's legs. How do you leave the game on the field so that when you're with your family, but the other way is insulating your family from everything else?
Well, back to that game where we lost by a field goal. Our kicker, Mike Black, who was the league's leading kicker that season, missed a chip shot, which he would never, ever miss. And after the game was over, we had lost in a triple overtime to Nevada for the right to go to the national championship. I went out and I put my arm around Mike and walked him to the locker room. And I just told him, Mike, I'm sorry, man, I love you, but don't let this be what defines you. Be stronger than that. You're better than that. And then with the family, you just, like I say, you got to know how, as hard as it is, you got to know how to turn it off and not let your mind be consumed by what you do, what your job is. That's your job. Your family's your life. And you got to be able to turn that off, the job part, when you're with your family. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Shoot.
So, Coach, I don't know about you, but I need 3 spiritual 2x4s to the forehead before any point sinks in. So you're saying you got to have this, and it's a decision that you made. You said you grew up without a father. What happened in your life that told you, without any doubt, that that's how you were going to operate for the rest of your life?
When I became a Christian, my life completely changed.
How old were you?
Let's see. I was a church goer going through school, high school, and most of college. But I'm going to tell you the story, how this came about. But at Washington, our 3rd year at Washington, I was 35 years old. We had just come back from winning the Rose Bowl, beating mighty Michigan. The whole city of Seattle was lit up. just all fired up, telling us what a wonderful team we had and what great coaches we were, and da-da-da. And I was kind of lapping it up. And then my wife, about 3 days later, said to me, Skip, when you stand before the Lord on Judgment Day, He's not going to ask you how many Rose Bowls you've won. He's not going to ask you how many championships you've won. What He is going to ask you, however, is what kind of relationship have you had with Him and with me, your wife, and what your kids, and what's been taught in the home. Well, you talk about getting hit with a 2x4 to the head. Man, that just really banged me. And so I started pursuing the Bible, reading Scripture, and I started listening to this guy on the radio who has become my lifelong mentor, friend. A guy by the name of Chuck Swindoll. Some of you may know who that is. Well, he turned my life around, got me on the right priorities, right perspectives. And I think that's the key. We need to get the right priorities, the right perspectives nailed down, and then we need to stick with them. Yep.
I'm a dad. I've got a 15-year-old son, a 13-year-old daughter, and an 11-year-old son. Thinking back to your coaching days, you had a lot of players, I'm sure, that didn't love a lot of the parts of football, right? You had to coach
Oh,
them.
man.
You had to coach them and motivate them to be able to be excellent at things they didn't like, right?
Yep.
I would say one of my biggest challenges as a dad is my son has a few things that he loves. He's got a lot of things he doesn't like.
Yep.
And the things he doesn't like, it's really difficult to get him to be motivated, to care about it at all.
Yep. Yep.
What would you say, what advice would you give to a dad trying to motivate their kid to care about something they don't really care about?
Well, first of all, remember to continue to love them. You know, they're going to be resistant to certain things, but I guess the key is to be able to help them understand and see why these other things have to be done. The discipline, the hard work, the things that they don't like to do are all part of the process of becoming a champion. All champions go through that. And to help them understand that, that's the key. Encourage them. Encouragement. Encouragement is the key. Yes.
Don't you have to let them fail?
Well, sure. That's why I say they have to go through all this stuff and learn from it. But you're there to encourage them, even when they fail, you know, even when they fail. And everybody's going to fail sooner or later. But to be there and help them understand it's just all part of the process of becoming a winner, becoming a champion, becoming who God made them to be. That's all part of the process. I mean, I go back to Kent State. We went into Kent State. They just shot 4 students on campus. We went in there thinking we're going to recruit and build us a great team. Everybody said, "You're nuts. You guys don't have a chance." First year we struggled. We were 3-8. The next year we won the championship. Went to the bowl game. And a couple years later that helped propel us on to Washington, and the rest of the story. 12 major bowl games, 3 Rose Bowls, all that. But you see, it started off with a lot of negative stuff, a lot of losing, a lot of attitudes. We had to deal with a lot of attitudes. We had to cut some guys loose. Yeah, and that's part of the process. It's never easy, never, ever, ever easy, but it's worth it. And that's the key. We got to help those kids understand it's so worth it. In the long run, it's going to be so worth it. And just keep encouraging them. Yes, sir.
When you were recruiting a kid, what was the main important factor that you're like, okay, that's the kid I want?
In recruiting a kid, what was the most important thing?
What did you look for?
Character. Character is the most important thing of all. Without character, you don't really have a lot. Sure, you can have some talent, but it doesn't go very far. You got to have character. That's what we looked for in recruiting. That's what we tried to build in our team and our players. It's character development. Now, when I came to Boise State, there were a bunch of characters here. And I had to recruit like crazy to build a team of good, quality character guys that could also play football and go to school. And those were the keys. I mean, they had to go to school and they had to do what they needed to do and be involved in the community and, yeah. But, there's a tendency for them to want to just be characters and just do what they want to do. It doesn't work. Yeah.
When you were recruiting and you had a guy that had ideal height, weight, and speed versus the guy that had really good height, weight, and speed, what were the things that you looked for in that character that you would take the 4-star guy over the 5-star guy? What were some of those characteristics of that person that you would be like, we need this guy because this guy might not be there in the fourth quarter?
Was he a team player? Was he in it for himself? Was it all about him? That kind of guy is not gonna take you where you want to go. Team players. The team comes first. When I coached, that was the number one rule. I only had one rule. The team comes first. Now, every other rule falls underneath that. Don't go out and get in trouble. Don't do that. Don't do that. We didn't have to talk about that. The team comes first. Don't hurt the team. And I think that's the whole answer right there. We want team players. We want team guys. And the rest of it will take care of itself. Get over yourself. That's number one. I heard a sermon one time, great sermon. Get over yourself. It's so true. So true. Yeah. What else we got? Come on, you guys. You got more in your back pocket. I know you do. What do you got? Yes.
So Don James was not just a great mentor to players. He was a great mentor to coaches. Looking at all the national championships that have come from people who coached with him, what would you say was the number one thing you took away from working with Don James?
Don James was a great disciplinarian of himself first. He never asked the coaches or players to do anything he wouldn't do himself. Discipline was number one. Discipline is what builds teams. Discipline is what builds families. And I'm not talking about the kind of discipline where you're whooping up on people. I'm talking about do the right thing. Just do the right thing. That's discipline. Do the right thing. And that was Don James. I mean, he set the example. He would never ask us to do anything he wouldn't do himself first. And discipline was the key to our success. And then recruiting, looking for the right kind of character guys to bring into the program that could play. I mean, they had to be good athletes too, and they had to play, be able to play. But they were coachable, and we just coached the tar out of them, just coached the tar out of them. And the success followed.
All right.
Okay, Mike, looks like we're concluding here.
A lot of great stuff. Everybody knows Nick Saban has won 7 national championships, and they always think that Alabama is how he had that big recruiting advantage at Alabama. But in the 70s, in the late 60s, early 70s, Skip Hall, Don James, Jim Morris Sr.,
Bob Stahl, on and on.
They came up with a recruiting formula where they looked at height, weight, and speed. But then there were 10 things that they called the difficult questions. And they didn't just talk to the player, they talked to the player's coach. They talked to the opposition. And they dug deeper than anybody else was willing to do at the time. And they created this formula that when I interviewed Nick Saban for my book and for my movie, I said, what here at Alabama do you have that you learned from Don James? And he looked at me like I was an idiot. And you've probably seen that look on TV where Nick Saban is like, he's getting ready to chew out his quarterback because he threw an interception. That's the look that he gave me. And he's about this tall, but he can make you feel about this big. And he just goes, everything that I learned from Don James, how to run my program, all the way down to how you treat the janitor and how you recruit players, all the way down to the questions that we ask athletes. And you have to be a great evaluator of talent, but you also have to invest. And that was some of the things that I've taken away in probably 50 hours of conversations between Saban and Gary Pinkel and other Hall of Fame coaches, and just the way that they cared for their players. That was the one thing. There's a book called Thursday Speeches that Don James on Thursdays, he wouldn't get the guy. You think that Thursday you're getting the guys hyped for the game coming up on Saturday, 48 hours before. And Don's philosophy was, if you don't know the game plan on Thursday night, you're not going to know it on Saturday. So he spent an hour talking to his players about a game plan for life. And so those are the things that I've always appreciated in our conversations and just kind of sharing coaching stories. So Skip is a great resource. He's a treasure here in the Treasure Valley. So I can't thank you enough, Skip, for coming today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mike. Let me just say this, the Thursday speeches, okay, every Thursday during the season, Don James would have a speech prepared, and it was meaningful. It wasn't just about football, it was about life. And I heard him for 18 years. We were together for 18 years. Times 10 or 11, it's over 200 speeches that I heard over that period of time. But they were all so meaningful, so practical. Players have gained immense knowledge over the time they spent in the program. So anyway, thank you, Mike. It's my pleasure to be here, guys. I really appreciate your time, your interest, your questions, and glad to just be a part of it. God bless you.
And I'm going to be I'm going to be giving away one of his books. And if you look, I don't know who would be number 7, but go down the list of people who have signed up, and whoever is number 7 on the list, I bought a book for you, and you'll get it. And so his book is called Coach 'Em Up. It is on Amazon. But one final thing, just one of my favorite stories before we let you go. How did you come up with the title for your book? Tell that story. Coach 'Em Up, not down.
Coach 'em up, not down. Well, originally, the way this happened is that I was in a staff meeting. This was at Washington. We were in a staff meeting. We met every morning. We'd go over the players, talk about each one, talk about their injuries, how their practice went the day before, their girlfriend problems, family problems. We'd cover it all. I mean, you're not just a coach on the field, you're a coach for everything. And I was complaining one time. To the whole staff, I was saying, man, I got these guys that they're sick, they're hurt, They got this problem, they got that problem, and all these problems. And I was feeling the woe is me. Coach James looked at me and he said 3 words: coach them up. That's all he said. Coach them up. Don't sit there and wallow in the mud. Coach them up. You can do it. You can help them. Coach them up. And that's what we need to do to people. Coach them up. Help them.
All right. So again, thanks to Skip Holloway. Turn it over to Jordan, who